And you hear music. Right. Yes, you have to do that thing. You did. But people are hearing you right now, I'm sure. And they're going, wow, the missus is back. And there's more on that story. But first we have to be very professional and have to this is just like the beginning sequence for like Star Trek, where they did the little thing and then they did the theme song and they did so this is called the tease, right? So this is the tease. All right. I
Bants and Bants. Bants and Bants.
All systems go.
Bants and Bants.
Defiance.
Bants and Bants.
This rebel has a cause.
Bombs and Bants.
We begin as wanderers, and we are wanderers still.
welcome to the 30th live edition of Bombs and Bants and Wednesday Rants. As always, I am your dedicated and humble host, John Wilder, coming to you live from an undisclosed location hidden deep beneath the surface of the earth. With me, as always, is Mark.
Howdy.
And the missus. It's nice to have you back. All right. And whoa, yes, indeed. Well, and you sound horrible. You sounded great until we went live, and now you sound like Kim Carnes after 17 cartons of cigarettes. That is better. So because of your absence, I think we owe it to our great listening audience to give them an update as to what went on. Well, you have a lot of problems. Oh my gosh. And the comments are filling up. Everyone sounds great. Happy Wednesday. And Jim Wetzel says, welcome back, the missus. So, and so, well, it was scurvy. So for those who don't know, describe the symptoms of scurvy. Well, that is because as a precaution against COVID, you were gargling with bleach. So that's the voice. That's not really a symptom of the scurvy. Okay, we're not even going there. What are the symptoms of scurvy? No, that's a possession. We're getting a note. No audio from the missus. Let's do a check on that. So
I see what it was. Now
no
you
one
have
can hear the
audio for me.
missus.
Now you see, it was like you were talking to nobody.
No, that's kind of almost even better. That
I
was like
know.
one of the. All right, do your own radio adventure, eh? So you
No,
in
you
the
know
audience,
what it was? It's because Pugsley was down here running my controls and had muted my mic. That's the problem.
So
Yeah.
so can we hear her now?
Should be able to. That's the theory.
There we go, says Jim. All right. So what are the symptoms of scurvy? We'll have to do this all again.
Well, we talked about the
first,
levitation.
Levitation, but that's actually possession. Yes.
Right.
And the coughing and the scratchy throat, that was because you're gargling bleach. Because don't do this at home, kids. Do not do this at home.
Well, that's why I sound this way.
Yes.
No,
Okay,
and you're right.
so-
Until like about 5 minutes ago, my voice was better. I don't
Yes.
know what it
So
is. It's the cheese,
stress.
clearly. Well, I'm eating
Yes.
medicinal cheese because the doctor told me that the number one thing to make
Medicinal
scurvy
cheese.
better, yes, is that I should eat cheese, and that's what I'm doing right now is eating my medicinal cheese while we're
Yes,
doing our podcast.
Okay. And don't forget that you were on a mad frenzy to remodel the kitchen without moving different things in the shelves and making sure all the different glasses for different types of spirits were all lined up, and then nice angles, but that's not a symptom of scurvy either. What's the symptoms of scurvy that you actually had?
Well, I told you, but every time I tell you, you tell me that's not a symptom of scurvy. It's just part of
Well,
my broken and flawed personality.
all right. Well,
I'm sticking with
Mark,
the cheese.
I don't think we're ever going to get her to tell us what the symptoms of scurvy are, but I will say this: we have about 300 cans of pineapple now, so that she will not get scurvy.
Well, the question is where to put them.
Are you supposed to eat it?
Oh, is that what? Okay.
Rainbows.
That makes
Rainbows.
more sense.
Got it.
That makes more sense than what I was doing.
Okay. Well, yeah. Yes.
You'll leave that to the imagination.
Well, it involves clog dancing. All right. So, the big news, of course, today, and since you've been gone, oh man, that almost sounded lyrical. Of course, Russia managed to invade, I don't know, Ukraine. And
I
today,
hadn't heard about that.
yeah. Somehow it's been in the news once or twice. And today, in a rather amazing scoop, President Zelensky of the Ukraine, because if you say the Ukraine, it's derisive and they hate that. So I just say the Ukraine, delivered a speech to, I believe, a joint session of Congress. And I have a little bit of an audio clip up from it. So I'm going to play that right now.
What the hell was supposed to do, you moron? War's over, man. Werner dropped the big one.
Oh, and I believe
Did you play the wrong one?
No. The moron quote was indeed our favorite Senator Mitt Romney. So, anyway.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no! German? Forget it, he's rolling. And it ain't over now. Because when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Who's with me? Let's go! Come on! Ah!
And that was President Zelensky's speech. So
he must have
actually
the same speechwriter as Biden.
Well, here's the really funny thing is
he didn't whisper enough to have the same speech writer as Biden.
Yeah. But here's what happened to the Delta I news, said Jim.
I won't sit here and listen to you badmouth the United States of America.
So the funny thing is, watching this, he's dressed actually better than Zelensky was when he was addressing Congress, number one. And number two, which I think is also important, he looks a lot like Zelensky. Zelensky looks kind of like,
he really does.
John Belushi after he discovered keto. So the missus, we do have actual soundbite of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky referring to both Pearl Harbor and 9/11 in appeal to U.S. Congress. Would you play cut 5,
and
please?
Speaking via interpreter, so the female voice is not actually him.
Oh, it is not him.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Sounds good.
Remember Pearl Harbor. Terrible morning of December 7, 1941, when your sky was black from the planes attacking you. Just remember it. Remember September the 11th, a terrible day in 2001, when evil tried to turn your cities, independent territories, in battlefields, when innocent people were attacked from air. Yes, just like no one else expected it. You could not stop it. Our country experiences the same every day, right now, at this moment, every night, for 3 weeks now.
She sounds exactly like you talking about moose and squirrel.
She sounds very
It's-
excited too.
Well, and actually, I believe Ukrainian is not really a language. I believe it's just an accent. All you have to do is speak like this, and you're actually speaking Ukrainian. So, okay, I'm going to start off on this one. I think that was like the work of a bright eighth grader who's trying to get out of trouble by pushing every sort of emotional button he thinks he can with mom and dad. And what do you think, Mark?
Oh, if he's trying to push emotional buttons, I don't think it's working very well. I mean, dragging up Pearl Harbor as I don't know, it just doesn't seem.
Well, it's actually kind of funny because the Japanese are pissed.
Are they?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I hadn't heard about that. That the Japanese were mad about that.
Yes, they're like, you understand, guys, that you guys attacked us first, and well, again, so we're not going to get into that, but
just ripping the scabs off of very old wounds. You know, he talks about, remember Pearl Harbor? No, my friend. Not very many people do remember Pearl Harbor because it happened in 1941, and most of those people are dead.
You remember when tanks came down on your Tiananmen Square, and then your Berlin Wall fell over in Milwaukee, I believe it was. It's just toned up. It's awful.
Well, and I did have a little issue with his, talking about it's exactly the same as 9/11. Well, no, it's not, because that was a surprise attack that came out of nowhere. We didn't have Muslim terrorists amassing on our border in New York for a year before it happened. We probably would have noticed that. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, these were very stealthy terrorists. Actually, the FBI did notice them. I mean, I hate to say it, but this.
Well, some of the ticket agents did, because I remember at the time, somebody said, I thought it was weird that they didn't have any luggage and it was just one way, but I didn't want to seem racist, so I didn't say anything about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, because again, even after 9/11, we know, don't blame the average Muslim. Just that's what I know. And Mark, we've been talking over. Is it nice to have her back, or what?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier for me.
Because I talk so much.
No, you guys get this conversation going and it's back and forth real fast. I've got this sort of, losing my memory, losing my mind type of slowly talking and trying to think of what word I'm going to use next.
Well, you have to understand that as of tomorrow is 25 years since we first met.
Right.
Wow. Awesome.
Yep.
On a blind
tomorrow's
date, yeah.
Yeah, on a blind date.
On a blind date?
Well,
Yeah.
Those things work?
Well, no, that's actually what you call an abduction after the marriage. It's just I pretended I was an alien. The probing went okay. I just.
Hey, this is a family show.
That's right. I was just checking your moles. So anyway, boy, we got off talking. But the nice thing about this is, after you're married 25 years, it's essentially like you are each other's external hard drive. Because I will be in the middle of a sentence, apropos of nothing, and I'll go, "You remember that thing?" And she'll go, "Nice."
Oh.
I like that. But typically,
I'm sorry. I was thinking about how I was going to save you by bringing this back around to what we were actually talking about.
Well, again, no, I can.
So,
bring it back on.
as consistent with our marriage, I was really kind of only half listening to you, and it took me about 5 seconds there to realize that maybe you were thinking I should say something, and I was like,
Yeah, well, that was the dead air.
Hey, da da da.
Dead
No,
air.
here's how I was going to bring this around,
Dead air.
right?
Dead air. Dead air.
Because we have Zelensky's picture up on the screen where he's wearing his green T-shirt, and he's married, right? I think he is.
I to a woman.
Well, it doesn't matter, because if he was married to a man, he would be gay, and then his partner would have the fashion sense to say, "Hey, Voldy, you're talking to the U.S. Congress, right? Maybe you should put on a shirt with a collar.
You need to say in Ukrainian. Maybe you should put on shirt with collar.
Shirt with collar.
And speak only in the with no articles.
That's right.
Yeah, and what's that? Is that a target on his chest? I mean,
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And who is that down in the corner? Do you see the little tiny person in white? Like, is that Pelosi? Or is it Sassy?
Well, she's not making her praying mantis hands, so I think they must have gotten her hands unstuck from the super glue, I guess.
Did she glue them to her chin?
So anyway, so what happens immediately? He gets several $1 billion in aid, and here's my only concern about this is when you go back through.
Is that it's monopoly money?
Well, no, that's the next clip.
Well, it's quickly becoming monopoly money.
Yeah, but that is the next clip. But here's the issue, and if you go back and read your history in 1939, so Germany said to Poland, "You can't do this," and meanwhile Britain was behind Poland, going, "We got your back. We got your back. We got your back. We got your back." And Poland's like, "No, I'm going to stand right up to you, Germany." And then Germany goes right in, and Britain goes, "When I said we got your back, I didn't mean we could do it now or anytime in the actual near future. Maybe next year sometime." And that's what we're doing to Ukraine right now. Ukraine is, I mean, let's face it, they're losing. How are they losing? The Russians are in Ukraine. The Ukrainians aren't in Russia. That's how you can tell when someone's winning versus when someone's losing. And we're kind of propping up this one side. And again, I get the idea that from a geopolitical standpoint, maybe they want to weaken Russia. But there's a lot of Ukrainians dying because of that.
Well, my feeling about this really in the whole run-up, and you know, how weird is that the last time I was on this podcast, Russia and the Ukraine weren't at war at all. Right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
In this whole run-up, it seemed to me like our president standing between Putin and Zelensky going, "Did you hear what he said about you? Are you going to take that? Hey, Zelensky, did you hear what he said about you? Are you going to take that? Why don't you two guys fight?"
Yep. Let's you and him fight. I have used that in a previous podcast when you were on your scurvy bed. Probably
because we talked about that before. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, yeah, of course, all the ideas yours, right? but you know, Ukraine has always been at war with Russia, and Russia's always been at war with Ukraine.
It seems like it, and that's all anybody talks about. Which is why I have a couple of things on the playlist that have nothing to do with Ukraine and Russia. Just
that is
talk
correct.
About
you do
something else for a change.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, the item number two, which is actually item number 4.
Okay, don't confuse me. Just tell me the numbers that you want me to play.
White House air horn Jen P. Sassy stars in a White House produced fluff piece to inform us on wash masses. Go ahead and hit it.
Here's part of it.
U.S. production of oil and gas is rising. In fact, in the first year of the Biden presidency, there was more oil and gas produced in the United States than in the first year of the Trump presidency. And there's opportunities to produce more from here. But part of this is on the oil companies. Right now, there are 9,000 approved unused permits that oil and gas companies could tap into now to ramp up production.
You know, that is so offensive. I mean, who gives a crap how much oil is being produced in the aftermath of Obama's presidency? I want to see the comparison against the closing months of the Trump presidency, or more accurately, what was being produced pre-COVID.
And pre-COVID, we were the world's largest producer. We were producing. We were a net exporter, not of energy, but of oil. And now we have to import. Went around begging Venezuela to buy their oil.
Yes, begging world good guys, Venezuela and Saudi Arabia.
Well, and so
Known
and so-
champions of human rights and democracy. Our democracy. Whose democracy? Our democracy.
well, and the Saudis, of course, and the Saudis and the Saudis turned down, and the United Arab Emirates turned down phone calls from Biden. They turned down.
What's that got to
phone
feel
calls.
like to be the president of the United States and you pick up the phone to call the Saudis and the Saudis go, nah, sorry, ain't got time to talk to you. Busy. Sorry.
Yep.
Well, they are busy. They're busy holding talks with Russia and China to value the oil or allow oil sales denominated in the Chinese yuan. I can't say it right. Anyway, Chinese currency.
Well, and someone said, well, this is Putin's inflation. And I went, Putin? That madman Putin has been in the United States printing trillions of dollars? Someone's got to stop him. Oh, wait. And this is, and then they say this on the same day that they're voting on, well, let's give another $15 billion and
why stop at $15 billion? Let's give them $1 trillion.
Yes. All trillion.
Don't cost nothing.
Don't cost nothing. Yeah.
It all comes back to Animal House, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the Animal House evening. Oh my, that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. So tell you what, let's switch gears quite a bit, and let's say Biden for a minute or two. We have a great cut from Mr. Biden coming up. Let's go to NBA star Kevin Irving. Colton Irving.
Close enough.
Kyrie Irving, who has been denied ability to play in Brooklyn Nets home games because he refuses to take the vax.
Right, so he can play any game on the road with the team, which he does. He just can't play at home in Brooklyn, in New York, because of the rules.
Let's go to the...
So the other night, the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, were playing at home, and because they've relaxed the mask mandates and they stopped checking vaccine cards everywhere in New York City, he can go to the game, which he did. So he went and he sat in the stands for a game that his team was playing that he was not allowed to play in. So here's the audio from this, and it comes to us from ESPN, and the audio quality is not great because, again, they're at a basketball game. But here it is, that the announcer's talking about this.
And look who just walked into Barclays, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie unable to play this afternoon, and because of the city ordinance,
he's unable to play, but he can walk into the Barclays Center unmasked.
I don't get it either.
Neither does anyone else. It makes
sense. Yes. But
and the picture that is up, by the way, is actually what he was wearing at the basketball game. That coat, can you see it?
I am looking. That is a coat. Yep. I think it's a coat.
And I know that it's got to be cool because he's an NBA guy and he's wearing it, but I'm like, that's like a jacket my mom would wear.
It looks like wallpaper.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just because he's cool and we are not. And that brings this one up too, because pimping ain't easy, yo.
Well, I heard that he tested positive for COVID, but he later claimed he caught it off his cat. And don't ask meow. Don't ask meow. I think he was giving it a bath. I think he was giving it a bath, and then the fur gets stuck in your tongue, and it's just anyway.
I'm very late with that.
Go.
Because
do you have any?
Pugsley down here using my computer and all of my stuff still did not do the thing that I asked him, which was to give me 2 monitors so I can do this. Didn't do it.
So Mark, we have been monopolizing the conversation. Thoughts?
I have to agree. It's a pretty stupid looking coat.
My thoughts about the NBA are.
I wonder if he keeps hard candies in his pockets.
You know, at least
and old used Kleenexes, kind of all wadded up.
no, but I mean, look at the
size of the
upside.
pocket. He could have about 60 of those in there.
In the next year, you know, he'll probably be the only one on his team that hasn't suffered a stroke or heart attack.
There you have it. There you have it. All right. Well, sticking to basketball for a second, I'm going to let you do all the humor on this one because, you know, you had to throw this one in there. So Matt Norlander of CBS Sports is talking about the University of Kansas having the easiest path to the Final Four.
Right, because it's NCAA time. And I think that it started, last night or the night before. You know, they have the 64 teams that are in, but then they have like 4 more teams that play before the whole thing starts, which happens tomorrow. I think it starts tomorrow. Yeah. So KU, one of the number 1 seeds. Other ones I think are Auburn, Gonzaga, and then a third one or fourth one, I can't remember who it is. But anyway, KU is one, and KU is a perennial favorite to win. And this guy from CBS Sports, what's his name? Matt Norlander. Yeah, I don't know either. So, but anyway, he says KU has the easiest path of all the number 1 seeds to the Final Four. Here he is.
The expectation is you live up to your seed. If you're a 1 seed, that means you go to the Final Four. And yes, Kansas has been tripped up plenty of times there, but they're in the tournament every year. They're a number 1, number 2, or number 3 seed almost every single year under Self. And I think this year the bracket broke their way. They're not guaranteed. I want to be clear about this. I just think of all the ones, it seems obvious Kansas has the easiest potential path to make it to New Orleans.
See, and my thoughts on there is
that obviously means that they're going to get bounced in the round of 8.
Well, I think that here's my bet for the Final Four. I'm willing. You can mark this. You can print this. I think New Zealand, Chile, and probably Argentina. And just
Wakanda?
maybe the island of Diego Garcia, because you know the way March Madness 2022 is on. Those are kind of southern hemisphere, far away from nuclear paths. So that's my Final Four.
Okay, I have no idea what that meant, but
I mean, in the nuclear war, they're probably not going to waste any bombs on New Zealand.
Oh, okay. Well, and I just bring this up, you know, because Kansas, it seems to me, always has the easiest path to the Final Four because they always get a number 1 seed even when they suck. Let's admit that, even if you're a KU fan. Sometimes they have a bad season, they still score a number 1 seed. And and I'm not saying this because because I do dislike KU, but it's not because I'm a huge fan of Kansas State. And certainly it would have nothing to do with the fact that I live in a state that has anything to do with any of those colleges. I just want to be clear about that.
Yep. And so let's go a little bit. Let's go a little bit further on this, and this is the last basketball.
But I will admit this. I do have a KU sweatshirt, but the only reason I have a KU sweatshirt was to annoy my mother. So, and it worked every time.
Okay. We're done with basketball.
Okay.
For the year.
I'm fine.
Okay.
3 weeks and it's over anyway, so.
Yep. Basketball's awful. All right. Mark, you still out there?
Yes, somewhere out there.
We've
way out there.
Yeah, she's gone into this manic energy mode. But I believe we can get to
You
Charles.
realize that I'm this way because this is as good as I felt in like 2.5 months, really, since before Christmas.
Yep. Well, we have Charles DeGatta. That's his name. I think I'm even pronouncing it right.
Yeah,
CBS News senior correspondent makes an oopsie by insinuating, well, why don't you listen?
Now with the Russians marching in, it's changed the calculus entirely. Tens of thousands of people have tried to flee the city. There will be many more. People are hiding out in bomb shelters. But this isn't a place, with all due respect, like Iraq or Afghanistan that has seen conflict raging for decades. This is a relatively civilized, relatively European, I have to choose those words carefully too, city where you wouldn't expect that or hope that it's going to happen. So it's partly human nature, but they are not in denial.
Charles, you did not choose those words carefully enough. Whenever you preface something with all due respect, someone's going to be offended by that.
Mm-hmm. I believe he just said that the Ukrainians were civilized and the Afghanis and Iraqis weren't.
Seems like it.
Well,
truth shall set you free.
Probably
in his case, free from his job.
No. He's good for the left, and again, his last name has an apostrophe in it and multiple capitalizations, so he's probably gold. But I will note this: in the United States, there are signs that we're finally civilized. This year on the Black Friday fight videos, I noticed most of the cell phone videos were horizontal this year. So
awesome.
That is an improvement. It really is.
We are getting better. We're becoming civilized.
Now, if only we can do something to teach people the difference between reply and reply all. The world would be a better place.
Yes. Well, that one's going to require a black monolith.
I do have a joke from Finland though that kind of ties in. A foreign journalist asked a Finnish general what Finland would do if the Russians and NATO would fight a war in Finland, and he responded, "First, we'd beat out NATO, and then we would destroy the Russians." And the journalist said, "Well, okay, now why would you go for NATO first and then the Russians?" The Finnish guy said, "We're a civilized people. Work comes before pleasure."
That was actually funny. I had the cricket button all ready to go, but I didn't need it. This is evidence that I am in a good mood.
Unlikely voice of humor, John Wilder. That's right.
That's for sure.
Okay. We've gone through that. But we have, who has a worse personal life than Joseph Robinette Biden? I'm not sure who. And who can make a gaffe? Oh, wait, hang on just a second. Quizzer notes, I'd like to care in the management, please. The real issue threatening America, giant 3-inch alphabet people parachuting spiders migrating up the East Coast, unmasked. We do have giant spiders on the East Coast, but we don't live on the East Coast. That for people living on the East Coast.
It's a legit concern.
Which would include, here, see, watch we segue back into this, Joseph Robinette Biden.
Absolutely.
Who may have a lot of things in the closet that he hasn't mentioned. I read this to the missus before the show, and she was like, nah, he didn't say that. But yeah, he did. So why don't you hit it?
How many times have you heard, I'll bet everybody knows somebody somewhere along the line, that in an intimate relationship, what happened was the guy takes a revealing picture of his naked friend or whatever in a compromising position, and then literally, in a sense, blackmails or mortifies that person. Send it out, put it online.
I can't believe our president said that.
Can you play that again? Because it is literally one of the most unbelievable things I've ever heard even him say.
Well, he's talking, of course, about this new law that either they're trying to get passed or whatever it is, about making it a crime to, take naked pictures of someone you're in a relationship with and then post them online later to humiliate them. But again, then he says this.
How many times have you heard, I'll bet everybody knows somebody somewhere along the line, that in an intimate relationship, what happened was the guy takes a revealing picture of his naked friend or whatever in a compromising position, and then literally, in a sense, blackmails or mortifies that person. Send it out. Put it online.
Who hasn't done that?
Who hasn't taken pictures of your naked friends of the same sex and put them online? And
I noticed that too, the genderless friend. And, maybe he was trying to be PC, but maybe he's the voice of experience. A little glimpse into the president's private life.
Or into the glimpse into why they tell him.
Into why he can't go within 150 yards of elementary schools?
Yep.
Allegedly.
Oh my!
I don't want to get us kicked off of YouTube.
I have a similar sort of quote. Let me look and make sure. You two talk amongst yourselves, so I make sure it's safe for.
Talk amongst yourself. Yeah, I mean, I have to say I don't know anyone like that, but okay. Yeah. I don't hang around all the same people he does.
And he's fairly older than I am, and I don't know people who've done that or that's happened to. Even younger people. I mean, you read about it, right?
Yeah, but I don't know them.
Right.
Okay, this looks like this will be okay. And here is what I think is the closest thing to Joe Biden's speech. So hang on just a second.
Hey, Stan, did you see that rainbow this morning? Yeah, it was huge. I hate those things. Nobody hates rainbows. Yeah, what's there to hate about rainbows? Well, you'll just be sitting there, minding your own business, and they'll come marching in and crawl up your leg and start biting the inside of your ass, and you'll be all like, "Hey, get out of my ass, you stupid rainbows!" Carmen, what the hell are you talking about? I'm talking about rainbows. I hate those friggin' things. Rainbows are those little arches of color that show up during a rainstorm. Oh, rainbows. Oh, yeah, I like those. Those are cool.
That's what Biden reminded me of. Had you heard that before?
Mark? I hadn't. That's hilarious.
That's what Biden reminds me of every time the man gets up to speak.
Who does that, Joe? Well, everybody.
Who takes pictures of their naked friends, Joe? Who does that?
Well, I have a feeling. I have a little bit of a feeling that when yeah, that's true. It's on his laptop.
Well, yeah, maybe that's what he's talking about. Well, that's just what I taught the children. You take pictures of your naked friends.
Clearly, if you went to college. If you went to college with Joe Biden and you went to a party with him and you were the first person to pass out, Joe was the one with the Sharpie drawing the penis on your face. And again, I've never known anyone that's happened to, but I've heard about it, and so I just assumed that Joe was involved.
Oh, so anyway, that was the infamous Eric Cartman rainbows. And so if you ever hear me say, "I hate rainbows," now you know why. What I'm talking about. Oh, rainbows.
Oh, rainbows.
I like those. They're pretty cute. All right. The last scripted segment of the evening, and it's again nice having you back because there's a whole script and everything.
I know.
Is
it's time for the brain jackass of the week.
It is indeed exactly that. So why don't you bring that on up, the missus?
This is Neil Young.
Hey, get that jackass out of here!
And I'm proud to present my brain jackass of the week.
And this week's brain jackass goes to our vice president for expertly fielding a question during a press conference. Here it is.
I wanted to ask you about some reporting that my colleague here in Poland noticed. He recently spoke with the mayor of the largest border town, who told him that the refugee system is essentially not set up for this, that it will collapse. It's an improvised system that can work for maybe 2 weeks, but not indefinitely. And I'm wondering what the United States is going to do more specifically to set up a permanent infrastructure. And relatedly, is the United States willing to make a specific allocation for Ukrainian refugees? And for President Duda, I wanted to know if you think, and if you asked the United States to specifically accept more refugees.
Okay.
And the VPT's off.
A friend in need is a friend indeed.
I go first. Okay, so.
And that was the answer.
That was the answer.
See, the problem with this is this goes back to that Tropic Thunder, the movie. She went full Kamala. You never go full Kamala.
But she
and
always goes full Kamala every single time.
I mean, it's almost unfair to include her in the running for Jackass of the Week, because literally every week she does something this bad. It's hardly a challenge. Don't you understand? You're half human, the missus.
Well, we have taken a quote of hers and turned it into a sampler for this soundbite.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
Words to live by.
Yeah, or her great quote about the Ukraine-Russian conflict. It is bad for Russia to attack Ukraine because Russia's big and it's next to Ukraine, which is smaller.
I've heard that she was just repeating how it was explained to her in her security briefing. Yeah,
intelligence briefing.
Her coloring brochure. Okay, Kamala, color Ukraine blue. Good job. Except you colored in Crimea. I don't think. Oh wait, Linden. Did I say Linden? Putin would not like that. See, and I said it in your perfect Ukrainian.
You did. It was perfect Ukrainian. But that is our Braying Jackass of the Week.
Okay.
And this has been Neil Young's Braying Jackass of the Week.
So here's my big complaint. I'm on North Korea may be gearing up for a full ICBM test, right? And
they're jealous of the whole Russia-Ukraine thing.
Well, they're showing pictures of Kim, right? But they're showing pictures of Kim like 70 pounds ago. The man has clearly dropped 70 pounds. Given the props, they need to show skinny Kim. They just need to. They need to show the skinny pictures of Kim. That's hardly fair. Yeah. And I'm sure he wants Brandon to go away too. Is there
maybe he can do like weight loss commercials?
Do you think there's anybody who's happy that Brandon's in the office? I mean, like literally, is there outside of Zelensky and Z? Anybody? Okay. Yep.
Oh, they didn't have anybody. They don't have anybody to really run. I mean, Biden had name recognition, and that was it.
Well, I keep hearing that he has up to 38% approval rating, and I just want to find those 38% of people who thinks the man's done anything good. Other notes? We have daylight savings time becoming permanent. But sleep experts say the Senate has it wrong. Standard time, not daylight savings time, should be permanent. And the missus and I are 100% agreement.
I am completely
standard
on board
time.
With that. Yeah.
Standard time is the right answer. Daylight savings time is the wrong. You do all the low T things during daylight savings time. You want things to build your testosterone, to be strong for when wolves come. Let's see. Did you have any more updates on Ukraine, Mark? Anything else that you wanted to bring up, or any stories of note?
Well, the whole bio lab thing I find sort of interesting, and not so much any new actual developments in that, just the online wars between those who are saying it's nothing and those saying that they're bioweapons labs,
particularly between Tulsi and Mitt.
It's just
that's been a good slap fight.
Oh my! Have you seen that one? Have you seen that one, Mark?
I didn't see that. I know.
This is worthy of bringing that out. I caught this over at Arthur's place, and hang on, let me bring it up. This is just all right. This is Tulsi Gabbard. So I try and do it in a Tulsi Gabbard voice.
Yes, please do.
Tulsi Gabbard today will be played by Scarlett O'Hara because that is the only female voice I can do. At Mitt Romney, you've called me a treasonous liar for stating the fact that the 25 plus U.S. funded biolabs in Ukraine. You're sure that doesn't sound too much like, I don't know, Mitch McConnell? Okay. U.S. funded.
Maybe a little more like Lindsey Graham.
That's like biolabs in Ukraine. Only after a few mint juleps in Ukraine, which if breached would release and spread deadly pathogens to the U.S. and the world, and therefore must be secured in order to prevent new pandemics. Bizarrely, you claim that securing these labs, or even calling for securing these labs, is treasonous and will lead to a loss of life, when the exact opposite is obviously true. The spread of pathogens is what will cause the loss of life, not the prevention of such spread. Senator Romney, please provide evidence of what I said is untrue and treasonous. If you cannot, you should do the honorable thing, apologize and resign from the Senate. Evidence of the existence of such biolabs, their vulnerability, and thus the need to take immediate action to secure them is beyond dispute. I think I've kind of morphed into a General Lee at this point. Anyway, number one, State Department's Victoria Nuland acknowledged such labs containing dangerous pathogens exist in Ukraine in her testimony to the U.S. Senate. Ukraine has biological research facilities, which in fact we're quite concerned with the Russian troops may be seeking to gain control of. We are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent these research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces. Two, Pentagon fact sheet has numerous statements directly and indirectly confirming the existence of such biolabs. The United States, through BTRP, has invested $200 million in Ukraine since 2005, supporting 46 Ukrainian laboratories, 46 health facilities and diagnostic sites. CBS Face the Nation correspondent David Martin says the Pentagon official told him they're concerned about the existence of such biolabs in the Ukraine. The concern is that the Russians will seize one of these biomedical research facilities that Ukraine has, where they do research on deadly pathogens like botulism and anthrax, seize one of the facilities, weaponize the pathogen, and blame it on Ukraine and the U.S. because the U.S. has been providing support for the research done in those facilities. I could go on because it actually goes on much further, but in the end, she calls again for Senator Romney. You have a choice. Out of pride, continue to deny the truth, or admit you're wrong, apologize, and resign. Yeah, she just tears him apart. Again, why are we spending $200 million in Ukraine on botulism and anthrax research?
Why are we spending? Why were we spending it in Wuhan, China?
Well, you know,
we can't
that's
do
the
it
big
here.
question. That's the big question, and I think, you know, ostensibly what they're doing is they were supposed to be these labs that were being funded were ostensibly to be you know, say to shut them down and destroy the samples that they had, because those labs were part of the Soviet biowarfare program, and but as I like to watch this video or this YouTube channel called America Uncovered, and sort of as you know, they're pointing out in a recent video on this subject. You know, when have you ever heard of a weapons, or I mean, of a government program? Yeah, weapons program, government program where they've actually ever achieved an end and shut it down. You know, it just doesn't happen, and that's the most beneficial way you can look at this. Otherwise, you know, the other aspect is if you take a more negative view than that, then it's probably because yes, they can't do that research here, so they have to do it somewhere, and so they pick, you know, for the same reason we were doing gain of function research in Wuhan. You know, we're doing bio weapons research over there. Now, was it to create a bioweapon, or was it to create a way of stopping the bioweapon? Who knows? And but and we've but that in the end that doesn't necessarily matter, because they both are still going to be looking at the same types of pathogens. And in fact, if they're trying to develop defenses against more lethal pathogens, then they're going to have to develop it. And that's exactly the same thing we saw happen in Wuhan with the gain of function research. So,
I get concerned. I get concerned that we're doing these in these different countries, and it seems the exact opposite of transparent, and it seems a little hinky.
Yeah, and I've seen it thrown out that, oh well, biolab, that could be anything. That could be, some medical clinic lab taking urine samples and analyzing them or something. But that isn't what we were talking about here in Ukraine. We're talking about these labs that were part of the Soviet biowarfare program that our military has gone in and is supposedly was going to assist them in destroying the samples and everything. And 17 years on, hasn't yet gotten around to that, apparently. So obviously there's something going on there, and frankly, I really suspected there was something fishy about it when it was a Pentagon spokesman saying, a Pentagon spokesman, not CDC, not the NIH, Pentagon saying, oh no, there's nothing going on there, don't worry.
Yep, and that's
trust us. 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Well, if it was as harmless as they were claiming, we would have been hearing that we would have been hearing from some other department or agency within the federal government, not the Department of Defense.
Nope, I think you're 100% correct. And again, if you look at her body language when she said that, she was exceptionally uncomfortable about the line of questioning about those laboratories.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, well, on that note, it's probably time to put the missus back in her scurvy bed for another week.
It's the iron lung.
It's the iron lung.
The iron lung.
The iron lung of scurvy.
So I can get intravenous medicinal cheese.
That just sounds horrible. You're stuck in an iron lung, getting intravenously fed cheese while being force-fed pineapple.
So
that's horrible.
But I get to watch daytime TV, so it's not that bad.
And we'll talk to past post. All right, you better say that thing you say.
Y'all come back now. You're here. Are we done?
I don't know. Are we done?
Are we? You're the host. Why are you asking me?
Oh yeah, we're done.
Okay.
done, and not a
not
moment
too soon. Good night, everybody.